Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. In this update, we've got a lot of heat building across the south, and heat fuels thunderstorms, and we've got plenty of those on the table with multiple rounds of severe weather. Those will include damaging winds, very large hail, and flash flooding is a huge concern in the coming days. So let's break down the details for you in this update and take a look at the overall satellite picture. This morning, we've got multiple mesoscale convective systems that are traversing from the northwest down to the southeast. And we've got a pretty good one across Oklahoma, and that's diving southeast into far northeast Texas. We've got our main powerful upper level low out west, and then out ahead of it, we've got these spokes of short waves. They're going to be sending impulses of energy, and that's going to be the first round of nasty severe storms later on this afternoon. And then out in the tropics, we see a lot of flash flooding across portions of Jamaica through the Turks and Caicos area, as well as into portions of the Bahamas. But you can see it's pretty clear out there into the Gulf of Mexico. But yeah, for today, we've got a lot of heat starting to really build across the south. We've got a dominant ridge. It's really building across portions of Mexico, and that's really elevating the temperatures further south, and that's going to be the culprit fueling these thunderstorms. You can see where the thunderstorms are this morning. Wiped away those higher temperatures across portions of Arkansas into far east Texas. But I think atmospheric, as things are going to be starting to blow up in the heat of the afternoon, once they top out to near 100 degrees across portions of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has updated the ante with an enhanced risk and an expanded enhanced risk that it does encompass all of North Texas, including Central Texas as well as East Texas. And those thunderstorms are going to be all three modes of severe storms. I mean, it's kind of very rare to see close to 100 degrees. And so we've got some serious updrafts this afternoon, and those are going to produce towering supercell thunderstorms, and the atmosphere is going to be really overturning once we hit peak heating of the afternoon, probably 3-4 o'clock in that afternoon time frame. Like I mentioned, large hail is going to be a very huge concern, and even the tornadic threat has actually increased as well. The Cape values are almost off the charts, guys. Plenty of heat to fuel these thunderstorms. These updrafts are going to be extreme. I'm expecting cloud tops upwards to 55, maybe even 60,000 feet later in this afternoon. And those could be some big time hail producers. And really a tornadic threat has actually increased, mainly for areas east of the I-35 corridor. So if you live east of that area, the atmosphere is definitely going to be rotating later on, probably after 3-4 o'clock, but definitely keep weather aware. There's likely going to be weather watches going to be posted in this region as going to be a very active late afternoon, early evening time frame with rounds of severe storms. They actually missed the morning activity into Dallas, which makes actually them more unstable now. And so, yes, I showed you the temperatures maxing out almost close to 100 degrees before the atmosphere really starts to turn over in a big way. But here's the setup where the flash flooding is going to be for today. So it's all about this northwest flow. So you're going to have these little mesoscale convective systems kind of blow up in the heat of the afternoon and dive southeast. So yes, heavier rains across portions of Montana, back through portions of Wyoming. That fishtails into portions of Nebraska, getting into portions of Missouri. There's also that little pocket of energy east of the I-35 corridor in East Texas could pick up some isolated flash flooding type setups. And we're going to be seeing multiple rounds of these. But taking you back for the last 10 days, we talked about the June cool down, and it felt nice for a good part of the country. A lot of these areas in the blue and obviously in the green shaded areas have been below average, overall below average, but unfortunately that can't last forever, and things are going to be dramatically changing in a big way, especially for areas further south, as that heat is going to be the real deal, especially in Texas, folks. It gets downright brutal tomorrow with these heat indices approaching 110. That's some dangerous stuff down there in south of the Rio Grande Valley. 115. This is brutal stuff. So definitely take all the necessary precautions if you have to be outside in these conditions, with the all the soil moisture and the rains are going to be today, and then you got that heat really starting to build in from Mexico. Like I mentioned, the heat indexes could top out 105, 110. Look at that, 111 possibly tomorrow in Dallas. That is some extreme heat, what it's going to feel like on your body. And so it's really going to take a toll if you have to work outside in those conditions. So definitely use all precautions and stay hydrated. But yeah, that heat is going to be the culprit to fuel these thunderstorms, and we're going to have a little bit of a cooler shot of air. And where that cool shots and the warm air clash, that's where the instability and the severe storms are going to be setting up across portions of Arkansas. This is for your day on Sunday. Going into portions of western Tennessee, getting into western portions of Kentucky, as well as northern Mississippi and Alabama here could be on the culprit of those severe thunderstorms, mainly some large hail and some damaging winds with this particular setup. But here's the alignment. As the ridge starts to build further south into Texas, that places the alignment where the cooler shot of air tries to penetrate some of that heat with a little bit of a cool shot of air. Not cool. They're all called cold fronts this time of year, but they're not really that cold air. But anytime you have a temperature drop, that's technically the classification of a cold front. But yes, here's the alignment, and it's, hey, this is a welcome sight to see slight risk for excessive rain over Ohio. I've heard a lot of comments lately. Where's my rain? I get it. It's been bone dry in these regions, so it's going to be a nice adventure to see rain falling out of the sky, and some of this could be an inch or two in variety, and so definitely this is a kind of a welcome sight. But yes, the boundary that's going to be setting up for portions on going into your Sunday with the heavier rains across portions of eastern portions of Colorado, and then there's the setup across portions of Tennessee, getting into northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia there. But it's all culprit of this powerful upper level low that'll be sending out these jet streaks. So this is the day on Monday. So you've got this your own low pressure, this little swirl in the atmosphere across portions of the Great Lakes filtering down to the Ohio Valley. That's going to be the mechanism that's going to be bringing the heavier rains for that region, and a welcome sight. But your upper level low is still hanging out west, and that's going to send pulses of energy on the southern branch of the jet stream. And with a little bit of a cool shot trying to penetrate from the northern regions, and where that boundary is, that's where the atmosphere is going to be overturning, and we're going to be seeing more severe storms. So here's the setup going into Monday. So we've got the active dry line set up across portions of West Texas, that filters across north and central Texas, and that filters across to just to the south of that little cooler shot of air across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, getting into Georgia. And that actually sneaks all the way up into the Carolina coast with some marginally induced strong to severe thunderstorms. And then the heavier rain allotment is where that little cool shot of air starts to stall right there along the Red River. So these are the areas that could pick up some heavier rains once they come off the northwest flow and they hit this boundary, where it's going to be kind of maybe training thunderstorms with flash flooding could be a concern with all the heat fueling these thunderstorms. And then the higher dew points in these regions, and the atmosphere is pretty saturated. So definitely you could be getting several inches of rainfall in a very short amount of time. But like I mentioned, it's all about the boundary. So you got the ridge really starting to build and deepen and maximizing over Texas, while the cooler shot tries to penetrate that area. And then where that zone is, that's where the clash and then the atmosphere is going to be overturning. And we're going to be seeing, again, another round of severe storms heading in your day on Tuesday. So you're talking a lot of the same areas along the Red River, getting into the Dallas-Fort Worth area again, basically in northeast Texas, down towards, south of Little Rock region. This is the area where that stalled frontal boundary could be, producing some of the heavier rains as well as the severe storms heading into your Monday. And then again, as the ridge really starts to build further south into Texas, that just places the alignment of the heavier rains across portions of Oklahoma getting into portions of Arkansas, heading into Mississippi. There's the setup as we go into your Tuesday time frame, with more rain coming back in the picture for portions into Maine, where they actually continue to remain on the cooler side for way up there into New England. But as we transition into Wednesday, again, as the ridge really starts to build over a good part of Texas, that just lifts the axis of the heavier rains further to the north. So it really aligns these areas into Tennessee, into Mississippi, into Alabama, back into Georgia, back into the Carolinas. You get into the action with the heavier rains, and that'll be on the day on your Wednesday, the June 14th time frame. But the heat's the real deal further south, guys. I mean, yeah, it's been nice to see the cooler average temperatures as of late, but it changes around big time for a good part of Texas. These are actual temperatures by then. We could be looking at 111. I mean, 112 down there in Del Rio, Laredo areas. 109 for the San Antonio, Austin regions, possibly 104, 107 into the Dallas-Worth area. That's going to be some serious heat, and obviously the heat index will be much higher than that. This is dangerous stuff. I expect numerous heat advisories being issued for a good part of all week next week, as the heat's not really going to be going anywhere for a good part of Texas for, you know, a while, because as the ridge will build across those regions, again, that puts the axis of the heavier rains just to the north of that boundary. So we're still going to have the active subtropical jet out to the west, and then we've got the lift. Obviously, we got plenty of heat to fuel these storms, and then the heavier rains are going to be setting up across portions of Nevada, getting into portions of Utah here, heading into portions of Colorado, and then that fishtails down off the northwest flow with the heavier rains across portions of Tennessee and back into the southeastern portions of the U.S. And the heat, again, it just doesn't go anywhere really anytime soon. So this is just the beginning of what could be a long duration of event of a heat wave, and if not almost a major heat wave for some of these areas further south into the Rio Grande Valley. Multiple days over 100, multiple days of heat advisories, even excessive heat warnings probably likely as we get towards the middle of the month. So definitely some dangerous heat really starts to build, but you can see it expanding. You know, by the time we head into the 17th, the 19th of the month, that ridge is going to be continue to deepen and strengthen, and then expand. Will encompass Oklahoma by then. Arkansas will encompass portions of Missouri, and then of course the northern periphery of that is where all the heavier rains are going to fall by then, by the time we head into the 17th and the 19th of the month, really traversing across portions of Illinois, Missouri, back into Tennessee, into Kentucky regions. This is going to be the favorite area of the heavier flash flooding type setups with this particular setup. But would we take you out in the tropics and look at some of these ensemble members? We are in hurricane season. We don't have anything, guys. Most of the ensemble members are pretty much high and dry for really the next 10 days. So most of the Canadian ensembles, the European ensembles, basically doesn't even have next to anything. I know the GFS lately has been blowing up this fantasy storm down there in the Gulf of Mexico, but it's the only model that's showing it, and it's always past 2 weeks out, and that's just not going to happen. There's no model congruency right now. There's no ensemble members actually even showing anything like that. So, and we've got a dominant ridge across a good part of the south. So that's going to be a hard break to penetrate something like that, even if we get into the third week of June. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely hit the subscribe button and catch my next update, where I protect you before and after the storm.